Hello, beautiful souls. How lovely to see you all again. Welcome to Talk with Avra. It's all about perspective. And of course, I'm Avra.
And once again, my name is Yuko, and we are here today to share again on different perspectives of how we understand different kinds of love language. Now, please take note that we do not give any medical advice or diagnosis. Our discussions are based purely on our own point of views, as well as our own thoughts from our respective areas of learning and our education, as well as our backgrounds.
I wanted to say that discussing the concept of love languages is actually a really different perspective. So, what would you believe is the most common love language?
I honestly, for me, I wouldn't think my form of love language would be the most common, but I think the most common love language would possibly be quality time because in this era in this society and trend here today, what we really lack is time.
Okay, so actually having time to spend together with others.
Hmm.
Well, an analysis of the results of 10,000 people. It was taken on a quiz in 2010, and they found words of affirmation was actually the most popular,
Ah.
but with a very thin margin, because again, in 2018, they did a dating app on Hinge, and their analysis on the app found that the most common language is quality of time by far.
There you go.
So
Yes.
you hit it on the nail there. Although I think we need to really take into consideration, and I personally believe it also depends on gender culture, customs, and values, because certain love languages which are prevalent in the West are much less common in the Western cultures or the Eastern cultures. And as the two of us have got to know each other, we've identified different salutations, different ways of greeting each other, different meanings of things to each other. And that's why our love language is so important.
Mm. That's right. For example, in South Asian culture, directly praising somebody, it's not exactly a very comfortable thing, and it's often not very well received. Instead, if you want to praise that person, you should praise that person to a third party because that's more highly valued when they hear about how you've complimented them, how they're really doing well through the grapevine. Also, you'll be, confounded by this fact here. Public display of affection between spouses or romantic partners is actually a major taboo, right? So not everyone actually welcomes that idea itself, especially in public. So what is it about love languages that we love so much about them, to know about it, to understand more of it? How does it help us? Well, studies have shown that the most common love language, Avra, like you mentioned, by far is quality time. And this is applicable to both men as well as women. In fact, both genders have chosen quality time so frequently that is more than twice as common as the second closest response, which was also what you mentioned earlier on, words of affirmation. So when it comes to men, it was actually a tie between physical touch and words of affirmation in the second place. So it's a tight fight right there.
Yeah, and I think in previous programs that we've had, we've discussed affirmation and how important it is to feel that you're heard, to feel that you're acknowledged. So let's look at this more briefly and yet very holistically and really understand. Let's look at the 5 most observed love languages and behaviors. Okay, so here they are. This is what I've broken it down to in the 5 love languages: receiving and giving gifts. So we all understand this. This is offering thoughtful gifts and gestures, giving us small things that hold a huge impact. Always express gratitude for all that is done and for the gifts received. This is for not just for the one party, for both parties. So it involves thoughtfulness. Make your partner a priority and speak
Mm,
purposefully. So I think
mm.
you can understand this. Some people would look at this as buying your love. What would your comment be about that?
I think that anything, even a thought of giving somebody a compliment, a thought of giving somebody time, the thought of saying something nice, everything that has a thought that comes from giving something unconditionally, that itself is a gift. I personally love gifts. I think that's probably one of my top few love languages there. It's something that makes me feel like that person has thought about me and made me important.
So in this area of giving gifts, we can have a shortfall because we can have a situation where people just feel the only way someone can show them that they love them is by giving them a gift. And if that is the only way they can show them how they're loved, that's actually okay because they're still expressing a gift. So we have to change our perspective in thinking that it's cupboard love. They're buying us. They're just giving us something because it's okay. Very often, giving of gifts or buying something or paying for something is very important because it's that way that the person is expressing their love for you.
Mm,
Okay, so the next one we're looking at is our famous one, the quality of time. And this is to
mm.
create special moments, to take walks together, do small tasks and things together, do weekend getaways maybe, or when it's financially possible, even go away for a weekend, be romantic. It's uninterrupted conversations, one-on-one time. And it's essential and crucial to have this observation of space for each other. What are your
Mm.
thoughts on that? You have touched on this a little bit already.
I really like what you mentioned in terms of observing that space for each other, that you set aside. I think setting aside time for someone in your schedule means they prioritize you and they actually plan to, give you the undivided attention in that period of time. It's very crucial, especially in our modern generation right now, where we basically don't have enough time every day. Everyone has 24 hours, but how do we actually use that 24 hours? If I could spare some hours and spending with my loved one, obviously my loved one's gonna know, hey, you matter to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. You matter to me. I like those words. Well, then we move on to our next love language, the third love language, which is acts of service. So you do
Mm,
chores together, you make each other meals or snacks, a cup of tea or coffee. But it's also about being romantic. Go the extra mile, go out of your way to be supportive, offer a surprise and be helpful, be spontaneous with uh, a really lovely gesture. And that is not giving a gift, that is physically doing something. So you assisting
mm,
maybe in a daily task or a chore. You're not just sitting back and expecting your partner or your associate to continue doing work that you should be helping with, or you have a big workload and they're helping you to reduce that. That is a love language, that is an act of service. So it's taking interest in chores, hobbies, and sports of somebody else. And that could just be being the cheerleader, standing there with the pom poms and waving them furiously when your partner's climbing up that rock wall that you love doing. And when you get to the top, giving them that applause. But it's not just about giving them the applause, it's physically being there and acknowledging something they've done that's important to them.
mm. Yeah, I believe so too, because honestly, if I don't have to do the chore together with somebody, if they do the chore for me, I'll be happy to.
Yeah. Although you also can't be codependent, that you need them only to be able to do that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that part of a love language would be supporting what somebody else's interests are and loves are.
Mm,
Okay, now the one we're going to move on to, which is my favorite one, which is words of affirmation. So this is sending an unexpected note, a text, or a card Be spontaneous, plan surprises, generally to encourage and do things consistently. So it doesn't help.
Mm,
Today, I send you a lovely little letter and you never hear from me for 6 months. You know, they say there's a special language between people that you don't have to be with someone every single day or see them or speak to them every single day in order to be thinking of them and being with them. But
that's right.
it does make a difference. It does. It makes a huge difference when you're going on a holiday and someone says, "Bon voyage, have an awesome time, safe travels." When somebody passes away, that you share your condolences and your kind thoughts. When it's
Mm,
somebody's birthday, make a fuss, send 100 balloons on email or Instagram or a lovely big chocolate cake, or send them some flowers. Or if you physically can't be with them, with technology nowadays, there's so many ways to have words of affirmation.
mm, yeah. I personally think what can kill and what can heal. So either you can really hurt you and make you feel sad, disappointed for life, or you can really bring some healing and comfort to someone
Exactly.
else in need.
Yes, yes, I
Mm,
absolutely agree. I mean, words are either very destructive or very constructive, is another way of saying it. Because we need to be able to look at this at only words of affirmation. So, affirmation is not about destruction, it's about being constructive, it's about being supportive, it's about agreeing with things. So you have to be careful with words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are only positive thoughts, they're not negative thoughts at all. So the next area that we look at is physical touch. It's hugs, it's kisses, it's holding hands, it's showing tactile physical attention often, it's showing of affection, it's focus on intimacy. Now, there's a very big difference between intimacy and physical touch. We have to understand that. And when we have physical intimacy, like you were saying earlier with our different cultures, if you are not comfortable or you are not in a zone where you like to hug and kiss and hold hands and have tactile physical situations in a public environment, you can still be intimate. It is intimacy in showing that you care. Intimacy is showing that you are heard. Intimacy is being in tune with the person, knowing their needs. I'm sure you'll now need a cup of tea or go and get a bottle of water. That's intimacy, is showing that you care for someone by doing things for them. That's also acts of service, but you can also be intimate in understanding someone. So our physical touch is just not about sex only. It's about making each other feel desired and making another person feel special. So
mm,
physical touch is something that we also need from a hormonal point of view in order to make us the feel better hormones, the dopamine and those kind of things, and serotonin, very important. So some people's love language is only physical. And we will discuss a little these in further once we've taken this slide down. We will carry on and talk about the other aspects of this slide.
that's right. So, actually, when you're mentioning about physical touch itself, personally, I would feel that it's really not one of my top five love languages. I mean, we do all have a bit of all, and some of them are a bit more primary, some are secondary. I believe no one in the world, would you think, Avra, like would say that I'm completely zero on physical touch? Like I have negative level in physical touch. I do know I'm on a slightly lower level, so I'm not somebody who would, naturally give hugs, naturally give kisses to someone that I love, my family members, but I would go and give a word of encouragement. That's for me. What
Yeah,
about you?
yeah. Well, yeah, this is a difficult one because I think, as you said, it depends very much on A, who you are, and B, on your culture. I mean, Yuka,
Mm.
you and I have never physically met. Okay.
That is very true,
Okay.
actually.
We
Mhm.
know each other from a platform of a video or a computer screen. Okay. The
Yeah.
first time that I lay eyes on you physically, that I'm going to see you, sorry for you, girlfriend. I'm going to hug you so hard, you're not even going to know what the next day brings, because that's my love language. Now, there's a caution here. It's my love language. It's not yours. So
Right.
why would I want to make you feel uncomfortable by giving you a great big hug when that's not what you want?
Through that.
Let's swap that around. I need that. I need to have that contact, that lovely big hug from you,
Mhm.
because that to me is saying it's a closeness. Is that a word? Closeness? It's my word. It's an Avra word. Okay. It's a
Yeah.
closeness. It's making us feel that we've gone a step beyond talking on a computer screen.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's
And no
making,
matter how much I say, it's not gonna help as compared to a hug for you.
yeah. So, but I've also got to respect that's not your love language. So maybe instead, I would need to look at other alternatives to make us both happy. So I say to myself, okay, so what is my other way of showing my love language where I want to take our relationship, you and me, to another level, where it becomes
Mhm.
a more intimate level without physically doing something? How about action? Acts of service,
Action.
acts of
Oh,
service.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
will arrive there. I know you like, and I listen and I hear, and we've become communicative, and you love food. What a brilliant way for me to show my love for you. I
Mhm.
could make a traditional meal from my country that you don't have and bring it for you and say, this is what I made for you. I've put thought behind it. I've I've remembered the things that you like. I'm taking into consideration the things that are meaningful for you to take this love language to a different level. But I'm also respecting that you don't enjoy physical contact.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that would make it a wonderful alternative option that we made in the middle right there. You
Yeah.
do something you can, I receive something within the ways I could, and I could also possibly learn how to meet you in the middle by doing something else too, which is possibly giving more quality time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we can interlink all these love languages. So I'm just going to want to go back a bit, Yuka, and just go back to, let's start with gifts, because that was the first one on our love language list. Okay.
Right.
When you feel loved, you will feel loved when you receive a gift.
Mm-hmm.
The present itself is nice, but what really counts is the thought behind that gift. The gift becomes an object that helps you remember, I'm thinking of you, and that fills you with love. So if I send you a gift on a courier service and you open that gift, you received a gift box yesterday and it warmed your heart. It made you feel that someone really cared about how you were feeling, about your well being. So after a date or a trip, it's also time to take home a memento with you. You know, when you go to a new country, I'm quite sure you've just been abroad, that you bought something
Mm-hmm.
that reminded you of the place that you went to, because that is
Mm-hmm.
a connection. So it's very important, and that those sentimental moments become the best gifted and meaningful ones. It's also about the surprise gift. Okay, that really strengthens the bond and builds a deeper connection for you during your holidays or birthdays or anniversaries. And then you want to commemorate that with a present of some kind. You know, we were brought up that if it was someone's birthday, you took them a gift. If you went to
Mm-hmm.
someone for dinner, you took something as a gift with it. It was a little box of chockies, or it was flowers, or it was, can I bring something for the meal? In fact,
Mm-hmm.
in present modern technology and modern times, it's not very often that you will go to someone's house for dinner or go for lunch or whatever, and they don't bring something. It's like, can I bring a salad? Can I bring a side? Can I bring
Yeah.
a contribution or the dessert, something to that menu?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's our love language. That's a way of sharing. It's not just practical, it's not just financially viable, it's also a way of a love language of giving. So, the
Yeah.
nature of giving a gift is, really demonstrates that you are seen, you cared for, and most of all, you prized, you special. So you
Yeah.
really thrive on that thoughtfulness behind the gesture. And it's a treasure, it's of nostalgic items. So giving is also the receiving in a love language. Some people feel they
Mm.
validate their love by giving gifts to them in their personal way or saying, I care for you, I love you.
Thank you for the gift in advance, Avra. I receive that, and I hope that makes you feel loved too.
Good.
I think the second thing that also we want to mention in terms of like the love language on the list, it's after gifts, we also talked about quality time, right? One of the top love languages for this era, in fact. So quality time, if you are someone who really likes the idea of quality time as part of your love language, you're probably someone who loves to spend uninterrupted time with your partner, right? So you want to have that peaceful, set aside, planned time that you have enough and sufficient for you to hang out and enjoy each other with undivided attention. And by the way, when we talk about quality time, no distractions, please. No time for you to be distracted by your phone, by your work, by someone else that's walking around beside you. It's meaningful when someone makes time for you, prioritize you in their schedule, and also make sure that they don't cancel on their plans for this time that is set aside for you. The moment they cancel on the plans, right? It makes you feel like, hey, you don't actually cherish my time, I don't cherish your time itself. So, that actually defies the rule itself. Now, creating memories and special moments together is also very important for you because you want to share new experiences together. So, time is really precious and it's very meaningful to soak in it every second together. So, you feel really happy together, even if you might not be doing anything. It could be just spending time walking in nature, walking on a beach regularly, and that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It is enough. It is enough. Sometimes we just always looking for more and it's not. And then the next area that we come to is acts of service. When you feel you've taken care of your partner and you're being supportive and you're helping ease the responsibilities that they have, and you do little chores and tasks like domestic bliss is unlocked. And it means that a lot of someone follows through on something, especially if they are paying attention and stepped in to help. Then they do this, they trust. So you have to trust your partner and they have to pay attention to your detail. They can't just carry on in their own little world. They've actually got to be aware of what you're doing. So you think talk is cheap and action means everything. You need someone to come through and know that you can rely on them. You need to show, not just tell them. So, love your partner is when you step in and do little things for them and make their lives a little bit easier without being asked to do so. You know how often you've said, well, why do I always have to ask you to help me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of a very important part of this kind of love language is recognizing if you're feeling stressed out or tired, it would be nice if your partner saw this as an opportunity to step up and alleviate your burden by taking something off your plate that is easy for them to do. Just a small act helps and you feel taken care of. So acts of service are particularly appreciated when they're done without being asked to do so.
Yeah, very much important in a household, especially after marriage, isn't it?
Yeah,
When, couples actually ask each other, hey, help me do this, help me do that. Why do I have to tell you to do it? Very
exactly.
important. Also, on the other end, words of affirmation is probably, like what we mentioned, one of the top few love languages of people in the world. You know, if you're as a person that loves words of affirmation, you really appreciate it when you're being acknowledged and you're being praised. It's nice to have your efforts recognized with kind words, no matter how small your efforts or how little the words are. Well, it just helps to let you know that you're valued and very much more, cherished, especially if you give these kind words to someone out of the blue. You know, for no reason, you're being complimented. Wow, I feel so happy, right? So the details and the words that you give matters, not just a generic statement. Be specific about it. And it's important that, for example, your partner remarks and notices if you changed your hair, you actually put on a different set of clothes for your call. Did you actually change the color of your pants today? Did you buy a new shoe? It shows that they're paying attention and that helps to make you feel cherished. So I really feel valued when people take time to thoughtfully reflect and comment on something that's positive that they saw that you're doing. And when you do something nice for your partner, you love it, right? I personally love it when someone actually tells me, thank you, I really appreciate blah, 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 what you've done, which makes you feel recognized and affirmed.
Absolutely. And this is so important. This is so important. You know, the more you acknowledge what people do, the better they will work, the better that'll work. So we'll carry on now and go on to the next love language, which is physical touch. Physical touch is when you enjoy or want a hug, a cuddle, kissing. Nothing beats a tactile, physical intimacy. You feel grounded. You feel that when physical affection is accessible and often cultivated. So it's like holding hands, long embraces and kisses. They are more common and welcome occurrences. When you're game and happy for public displays of affection, it helps you. I mean, there's some people that look at this and say, get a room. But some people really find this fantastic. And for them, the loving hugs and kisses are common and welcome. So you're going to have to decide about making other people feel special, make them feel desired, and also become a priority, because it's very important in love language when you are a physical person to understand that it is not just about sex. It's about intimacy as well, which we have touched on briefly. So if your partner is sitting next to you, would you rather sit side by side next to each other, or would you rather cuddle? The closer, the better for a physical person. A person who loves physical touch, if they are nearby, they almost automatically reach out and touch them. They don't have to think about it. It comes naturally. They'll put a hand on a leg. They'll play with your hair. They'll give them a nice back rub, a beautiful massage. This kind of contact also gives you a huge amount of opportunity to give you your feel-good hormones, because touch gives you a wonderful sense of feeling good. So sexual intimacy can make you feel even closer to your partner. So if you have established and are good with the love language from an intimacy point of view, the sexual side comes totally naturally. So I've got a little exercise to do that I want to show you for people that may be a little bit uncomfortable with physical touch. And there are reasons why people are uncomfortable with physical touch. And this goes into quite a long, lengthy discussion, so I'm not going to follow that through right now. But it can stem from your childhood. It can stem from abandonment. It can stem from trauma. So I want to show you an exercise that you can do yourself that give you that same feeling of love, and it's called havering. So I'm going to take my glasses off and show you. I want you to go, put your hands here and just go like this, Yuka. Right to under your chin, slowly and gently. Right, now do that with your hands, rub them together. Now wash your hands this way. Now wash your hands that way. Now wash your hands. Now pray again. Take your hand up your arm to the top, very slowly, very lightly, all the way to your shoulder. And keep on rubbing gently and go all the way down your arm. Keep going. And wash your hands again. And now rub your arm all the way up to your shoulder and down again, all the way to the end of your hand. And give yourself a lovely big hug. And how is this making you feel right now? You smiling?
I I'm following your actions, but to be honest, because physical touch is not a big love language, I feel a little awkward. But then again, I think the starting from yourself could be the first step.
So if you practice this havering technique and you do it often, you will give yourself the opportunity to start saying, I'm not comfortable with other people touching me. This is me. I'm safe. It's me that's touching me. You know, when you're really frustrated and you run your hands through your head and you go like that? That's part of the love language. It's a physical love language. You're expressing through your body. Why do we go like that when we're angry? Why do we
We're
go like
expressing it,
that when we're
definitely.
grateful? Why do we go like that when we're grateful?
Right. Okay.
Why do
So I
you?
guess we have to learn.
Yeah, because if you go, oh, that makes me feel so good. What are you doing? Oh,
Using
I saw
your
that
body
little kitten.
behavior.
Yeah.
That's right.
When you see a puppy or a kitten, what do? You go, oh, you're feeling yourself. You're saying that's your love language. Oh, it's from my heart. I'm feeling so good about this. Yay, I'm happy. Those are love languages. So now we've covered physical touch and we understand a little bit more about physical touch, and it's not just about sex, which is really important. So let's move on to adapting the love language theory.
That's right. So we talk so much about the actual five love languages, right? How do we actually see that playing out in our lives? What are the pros and cons of it? So as popular as the love language concept is, many people have pointed out the problems with having these five love languages. Some people, in fact, will use this theory as a form of personality test to expect more from others. The whole point is that we're supposed to adapt ourselves to our partner's love languages, not demand that they use ours, like, do the way I need it to be done.
Yes. So it's not something that we can totally rely on. When relationships are being aligned with one another's love language and desires, it doesn't exactly mean that it's like makes a successful and happy relationship. It's a guideline. So those who share the same love languages are not necessarily always happier than the couples who have different styles. In fact, the opposites attract. It's a law of attraction. So this suggests that each person has a love language system that works for them, and adapting it based on what their partner's needs are at the moment is more valuable than solely relying on a generic sort of specific love language type. It's important to identify it, but we can't live by it because we're looking at two people and two people have different needs. Like we started in the beginning and we discussed how you can adapt this.
That's right. So if you are actually not open to adapting and changing, right, to what your partner need at the moment of time, we can actually risk facing a situation of codependency, Avra, like you mentioned. And we prevent our partners from developing a togetherness and the authenticity to what they really need and what we really need itself. A relationship really needs a space for transformation and growth together. So when you limit each other with a specific love language, it has to be this, right? Then we do not allow room for changes, or maybe even recognizing the differences between you and your partner. So the concept of love language leans on the idea of its practical simplicity. These can also mean that it's practical for us, it's very simple to understand. This can also mean that, it feels not as inclusive, because it does not consider other factors like sexuality, culture, trauma, and intergenerational differences in all communities. All these can play a part in defining and changing your love language. So, in such cases, the concept itself neglects the fact that human relationships, it's all complicated. It is not that simple. Every relationship has their own nuances and dynamics.
So here's an area that I'm thinking of in reflection. What about people that once, that have a traumatic situation, they've had to heal, they've got wounds from the past, because we've already discussed that your love languages are affected by what happens in your life. So we developed, maybe it changed, maybe you've got a healthy lifestyle, maybe you've changed your physical or mental beliefs, maybe you've changed the language. So your love language is going to change too. We have to
Yes.
know that in general, it's important not to use love languages as a general guide to remedy issues. It's not
Mm,
about that. It's
yeah.
about understanding yourself properly and understanding others better. It's about non-judgment. It's to start to understand that everybody has their own love language. And it's clear that we need more skills than those in our toolkit to face problems that may exist below the surface in our relationships. So it's important to follow the prime understanding of the different perspectives and how to find acceptance instead of looking for judgment. So just because my love language might be physical touch and yours might be time, you can combine those different kinds of love languages very beautifully. I gave you some examples earlier. So the whole concept of this is that languages are a useful tool to improve how we communicate, how we express ourselves to each other, and that we shouldn't be all and all end all solution of happiness. Instead, it should function as a starting point so that it sets couples on the right understanding of a real partnership, a real relationship, on a journey that you're meeting each other in a profound way and self-regulate better. But the work should never just stop there. We need to do lots of work to understand how we can make our love languages work for each other with acceptance that it is not a judgment call. Oh, you always just buy things. It's
Mm,
not about, oh, well, you always just cry and look for sympathy. These are the way people behave according to their circumstances and their personalities and who they are. So we have to take time to be mindful. It's not easy. It's not easy. And when you understand your love language and can identify it, it makes it so much easier.
that's right. So I think we need to start making some mindful notes of what the love languages of our loved ones, our family members, as well as those close to ours are. And right here today, we also want to send our love to all of you for joining us and giving us your quality time spent on this platform. Don't forget to subscribe and also check out the description below to receive your love message for the day.
Absolutely. So that's a wrap for today. I'm signing off with much love and light. And because I love hugging, I'm sending you virtual hugs as well. Keep giving yourself those hugs, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget, I'm also doing a workshop on the 26th of October, and I will be doing my workshop on the advanced stages of love languages. Just subscribe to my channel and you'll find out all about it. Much love. Bye.
Peace out with love. See you on 26.